So I'm sitting in the gardens of the Bhaktivedanta Manor in Hertfordshire, and it's the home of the Hare Krishna movement, a religious movement that has at its core principle a strong and meaningful relationship with nature. And it's like paradise on earth. Everyone here is happy, it feels healthy, it's got the most beautiful sound of water behind me, and it's a gorgeous day. What more could you ask for? So at the heart of the Hare Krishna faith, as I understand it, is a strong connection with nature and the environment. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit more for me?
Well, I think most people nowadays think they have to really be in control of their lives, and we have to control nature. And we're saying, no, we have to live with nature.
So there's a real ethos of involvement and interaction with nature as well. Is that something that's very, very key to the philosophy of the Hare Krishna faith?
Yes, I would say definitely. We are, our founder actually, Srila Prabhupada, one time when he was visiting, I think it was in '69, he was in Tittenhurst, John Lennon's estate, which is down South London. So he spent some time there, a few weeks, and just the day before he left, he went for a little walk around the gardens, and he was sort of, afterwards, one devotee asked him, Prabhupada, what were you saying? And he was saying, I was saying, he was saying goodbye to some of the trees and everything. And actually, the funny thing, after Srila Prabhupada left, I think that evening or the next day, there was a huge storm whereby a lot of the trees were uprooted, And in our philosophy, we say the soul is, whether it's in the human body or the body of an ant or the body of a tree or even the blade of grass, there's a soul present. So Prabhupada, when we have that connection with nature, because we can see souls are present in all the bodies around us, so a spiritual person, he connects with the soul, whether it's in the body of a human being, or an insect, or whether it's a plant, etc. So yes, we definitely have live in harmony. Our philosophy is to live in harmony with nature, and you pick up in the subtle, rather. In today's society, it's just very gross, people are not very, they're more, not in touch with themselves even, or with nature. So it's definitely part of our philosophy, yeah. Wonderful, thank you very much.
So we're standing in front of this conservatory with these intriguing looking plants, and there's some kind of shrine up here as well. Can you explain this to me?
This is a holy plant called tulasi, holy basil. Just like nowadays you have herbal medicines and people know there's medical benefits from having certain herbs. So this plant has the ability to actually affect you on a very fundamental spiritual level. She actually can, just by using this plant, you actually can develop devotion to God. It's kind of a mystical process. So as well as her having medical properties, she has devotional properties also.
That's extraordinary. And you referred to her as she as well. I mean, why is that?
In the spiritual science, there are different personality oversees certain things. So Tulsi is a she.
Right. And the shrine at this end, what's that for?
This is she's called Tulsi Devi, and again she's the personification of the Tulsi plant.
Have you eaten this plant?
Yes. You can't eat the plant straight from the plant. You have to basically offer the plant to God first, and then you take it and you can eat it in that form.
I see. Wonderful. We're now at the heart of the Bhaktivedanta Manor in the temple itself, and it's during their 4:20 p.m. service. I've had to take my shoes off to come inside here, and it's a real privilege to be part of this ceremony. It's extraordinary. So could you tell me just a little bit about the farm that we have here at the manor as well?
Srila Prabhupada established that part of learning about serving God was also to try and learn how to live very simple. His motto in life was simple living, high thinking. So we'd think about God, but in our ways of life would be very, very simple. And basically he wanted that we live off the land, we live off the cows, the bulls. Traditionally, the rural Vedic culture was that would live very, very simply. People would just live in a village. They would grow their own food. They would have the cows. They would get the milk production and things like that. Of course, we live in a different kind of a society nowadays. But the idea is that we still want to be very, very conscious about our environment. At the moment, you might be able to go to Tesco and buy your food, but who knows how long that might be. So it is important that we don't forget our ways of learning how to look after the land, to grow our own food, but all in a sustainable environment so that we don't harm any of the other environment at the same time. It's all very ecological. And we try not to use too much machinery. So the bulls, they do all the ox power or something like that. And when we use like ox power and stuff like that, then we also employ more people. Sometimes the tractor is known to make people redundant. But we're here, we try and get more people working because there's more hands-on doing actual work.
And tell me a little bit about some of the financial aspects of this manor, because you give away free food, you put on free events. How do you manage to support such a generous organisation, basically?
Well, Krishna is the richest person. He is God after all. Everything belongs to him. But having said that, we have people, especially our Indian community, they kind of donate on a regular basis. We have like covenants. We have people who kind of, go and sell some of our literature. We have a very, very successful bakery downstairs that, people come and buy our cookies and cakes and all sorts of things. And overall, this place is kind of just supported by people who see the wonderful work we're doing. When people see something good, then people will give automatically.
And specifically, I've heard that the milk the cows produce, you're hoping to sell it next year at some point. And when it goes on the market, it's going to cost £3 per litre, which makes it the most expensive milk in the UK, or it will be. How do you justify charging that sort of amount for such a litre of milk?
Well, first of all, I'm not exactly sure how much it is, but it is quite expensive relatively compared to the milk in other stores. The reason why it's a little bit expensive is because we are at the nucleus at the beginning stage of something called cruelty-free milk, where we don't just care about the milk, but we care where the milk comes from and how the animal is treated. You'll get better nourishment from the milk, better things from the milk when the animals are treated nicely. And part of that money that you give is a little bit like a pension for the cows. So when they stop giving milk, then generally they live for another 4 more years. So most people, they would just send them to the slaughterhouse. But we are grateful for 16 years feeding us. Who would not be ungrateful for someone feeding you? So for those 4 years, that little money extra that we take, that goes to the pension for the cows so they can live nice.
That's great, thank you. So could you just tell me a little bit about your role here at the farm?
I'm the farm manager. I'm responsible for basically everything that goes out happening outside, which is the dairy, the agriculture, the vegetable productions, flowers, formal gardens, things like that.
And what do you do here at the farm that's really different from anywhere else?
I guess the key thing about our farm is it's a farm based on non-slaughter. So it's a farm based working with nature without any recourse for killing anything. So that means we have to manage it in different ways than a normal farmer would. So for example, our cows, they live out their full natural lives anywhere between 15 and 20 years. Interestingly enough, this morning we actually said our farewells to one cow that died yesterday evening, and she was 15 and a half years old. Now, it's anywhere between 15 and 20, a cow will pass on. So that's different for us. For example, this morning our whole, about 40 or 50 people came over from our congregation to say also their own farewells to a cow. Because people drink milk every day pretty much, but most people don't really recognize the gift of a cow. In our tradition, we would say that the cow is like the mother. But actually, when you think about it, it's a fact for everybody. The cow is the most important animal to humans per se, because everybody drinks milk of a cow. But for a mother to feed her child is a very, very intimate exchange. And most children only feed from their mothers between 4 months and 2 years. Now a mother, she wouldn't put her child on a woman that just walked through the door. In fact, she'd be very conscientious about any woman feeding her child. But for a cow, without any qualms, a mother will take her child from her own breast and put her onto the milk of a cow. So we have an intrinsic trust in a cow more than any other woman in society. So when we say a cow is like the mother, it's because actually that's the role that we play for her. So particularly in our farm, we recognise that. We really kind of, I suppose, celebrate that. So a cow will be looked after for its whole life.
So how has the community in and around the Hare Krishna temple based here received the farm, do you think?
People love it. I mean, people often people like to be with animals. So here particularly people like to come and they like to bring food and feed them. So it's a very important part in their life. And especially, people of, you could say, the Hindu faith, because they understand the importance of how important a cow is to human society. So that it gives an opportunity to come and actually interface with them. Otherwise, nowadays, people read about it in books, but they don't have much interface with it.
And what about the products that you produce here at the farm? There's vegetables, there's milk. Can you talk to me a bit about sort of what you use those products for?
We produce a lot of milk at the temple. We make butter. We make ghee, which is clarified butter, a very important cooking medium. The usual things: yogurt and and cheese. In terms of the farm production, we grow a lot of our own vegetables. We have 8 acres of fields that we cultivate and grow mountains of potatoes and marrows and spinach and all kinds of other things, the usual things that people grow in England. Obviously, we all have to eat food, so the food that you produce yourself, it has a greater intrinsic value, so we like to grow as much of our own food as possible.
And do you sell any of it for profit?
We do sell some. We try to have the farm has some economic relevance to it, so we have a stall we put out every Sunday where guests can take some of the vegetables, and similarly we have an honesty stall near our temple where people can come and take vegetables and leave a donation for the vegetables. So we want people to enjoy our food as much as we do.
Wonderful, thank you. This is me milking a cow, as it were. Apparently she doesn't give very much milk because she had a calf a few years ago, but it's wonderful. It's very warm milk. And you put a little oil on your hands beforehand, and I've had to wash my hands before I handle the cow, so that she's treated really well, actually. So, my colleague over there is doing a lot better than I am. He has a much more aggressive technique, but she's very well behaved, wonderfully still and very calm. So Sachi, what are you doing here at the moment?
Basically just weighing the milk, because there's every different amount of cow gives a certain amount of milk, so we keep it all down on a record. So then when they're ready for calving again, then obviously we take them and calve them again, then obviously they'll give a lot more milk.
And how much milk do we have here at the moment?
0.6.
Is that a good?
No, that's not that much. Obviously they give a lot more in the morning for some reason, and also if she hasn't had a calf for a few years, then the milk tends to go down, especially during the winter as well. There's not that much to eat.
And what are you feeding this cow over here?
Basically, because they're getting quite fat, because we feed them quite well, I just gave a little bit of grains and mixed it with water so it's not so dry. And also people donate vegetables and stuff like that, so when we have them we give them some of that as well. So basically now just putting the milk in the filter just to check if there's any bits of mud or any hair or anything like that, and then put it in the cooling machine. Obviously there's ice in that box, so it rotates round, and then the milks get mixed up so it's cooled down, just so it's the right temperature to take to the kitchen and stuff. So once it's all cooled down to a certain temperature, when all the cows are done, we take it to the kitchen, and then they use it to make sweets and stuff like that. And also in the temple they serve hot milk every afternoon.
So this is the machine in which the milk is actually cooled. We have a box of ice down here, and the cooled water is then pumped all the way around this tank to cool the milk down so that it's usable. And then it gets transported to the kitchen, where it's used to make sweets, and it's served actually to drink as well. So we can see that the Hare Krishna movement actually has many, many more sides to it than the media would typically portray. And here at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, we have the farm, we have this beautiful house, we have teachings, drama, festivals, fireworks, all sorts of things. And its lessons in sustainability really are something that we could genuinely learn from, I feel. What I've seen today is just so inspiring with the cows, the way they treat them, they're so humane to them. But then there's also the spiritual side of things which really backs everything up. And it's quite extraordinary.